Husband's first love was diagnosed with acute kidney failure, and I was the only one who matched her to save her life. He forced me into a medical termination when I was 6 months pregnant. He used his gentlest voice to say the most soul-crushing words. Can't you just be a little kind? You're only losing a child, but she's losing her life. I was desperate to refuse, but he threatened to kill himself right in front of me. On that operating table, both my baby and I lost our lives. The transplant was a success, and his precious first love lived. Everything went exactly as he wanted. Yet, when he heard the news of my death, he lost his mind. After I died, my soul drifted out of my body and hovered in the cold air. My abdomen, which they hadn't even finished stitching up, and my body with its missing kidney looked gruesome. Next to me lay my baby, fully formed and silent. A moment later, a white sheet covered me completely, and my body was wheeled out of the operating room. I saw him. My husband, Finian Vance, was pacing outside another operating room. His face twisted with an anxiety I had never seen before. As my journey passed him, he didn't even spare me a glance. I don't know what I was expecting. His heart was with someone else. The doors opened, and he rushed forward. Doctor, how is Yara? Is she okay? The kidney transplant was a total success. Once the anesthesia wears off, you can see her, the doctor announced with a smile. Finian looked like he had just won the lottery. Inside the VIP suite, Yara looked pale. Finian's eyes welled up the moment he saw her. He grabbed her hand tightly, his voice trembling with pity. Yara, you've suffered so much. I'm okay, Yara whispered, reaching up to touch his cheek. She paused, looking troubled. Finn, you shouldn't be here. You should be with Valen. I feel so guilty toward her, she spoke. A single tear escaped her eye. Finian cut her off immediately. Why are you still thinking about her? If it weren't for that heartless woman, your surgery wouldn't have been delayed this long. It's her fault you had to endure all this extra pain. His voice was thick with disgust and resentment. My ghostly breath hitched, and my non-existent heart tightened. Valen was me. I was the heartless woman he was talking about. They say when you die, your life flashes before your eyes. But looking at the two of them embracing, all I could remember was the tidal wave of terror. And the agonizing pain when he forced me onto that table. Finnegan had gripped my hand back then, his eyes bloodshot. Phelan, I swear if you save Yara, we'll live a good life together. If you don't, and she dies, I'm going with her. It sounded like a plea, but it was a cold-blooded threat. When my parents died in that crash, they left me nothing but a mountain of debt. The Vance family stepped in and cleared it all. The moment they took me in, my life belonged to Finian. Even though I knew he probably wouldn't actually kill himself, I couldn't handle the risk. Looking at the man I had loved for 5 years, I finally went soft. I agreed to lose my baby and give my kidney to Yara, hoping he would finally love me back. However, there were complications. During the surgery, I started hemorrhaging. The doctors tried to call my emergency contact dozens of times, but nobody answered. In my fading consciousness, I heard the doctors sighing. I reached the end of my life in total despair. And now, while my corpse lay in a freezing morgue, he was still playing the devoted lover to his high school sweetheart. A month later, Yara was discharged. Finian didn't just pick her up, he bought her a massive estate in the Hamptons to recover in. To celebrate her recovery, he threw a lavish party and invited all their friends. An invisible force bound my soul to Finian's side. I was forced to watch them act like a doting couple day in and day out. Sarah always loved being the center of attention. Even though she wasn't fully healed, she clung to Finian at the party, flaunting their intimacy. It was so blatant that people started whispering. When she heard Finian's friends mention my name, her expression flickered with annoyance, though she quickly masked it with a pout. Finn, is this really okay? I mean, I don't have a formal title here. If Valen finds out, she'll be so angry. Why bring her up on such a happy day? It's bad luck, Philip snapped, his irritation clear. The moment my name was mentioned, he took Yara's hand in front of everyone and made a loud announcement. Yara is the love of my life. I hope everyone can stop bringing up irrelevant people from now on. The lively atmosphere turned awkward. The guests looked at each other, confused. He was essentially telling them his legal wife didn't matter anymore. Minion's eyes were dark and cold. His words were a death sentence to my dignity. My ghostly eyes burned red. It was true. I was just a disposable placeholder. The only person he ever truly loved was Yara. We were childhood friends, the kind everyone expected to marry because of a single "I like you," he said, when we were kids. I loved him for 10 whole years. But teenage feelings are fragile. When Finian met his true love, Yara, in college, everything we had vanished instantly. I had to tuck my feelings away and watch from the sidelines, playing the role of the quiet shadow. Then Yara suddenly moved to Europe and broke up with him. Ian went on a downward spiral of drinking. One night, he was targeted by some thugs. I used myself as a distraction so he could escape, nearly getting killed in the process. Before he passed out that night, he promised me, "Valen, as long as I'm alive, I'll always take care of you." He kept his word. After he woke up, he treated me well. And eventually, marriage felt like the natural next step. During our marriage, he was the perfect husband. He was attentive and kind, making us the envy of everyone we knew. But Yara's return was like a grenade dropped into a still lake. She claimed she only left because she was sick and didn't want to burden him. That one lie made Finian's resolve crumble. He started coming home late, then not coming home at all. Every time he did show up, all he talked about was Yara's condition. I thought if I just endured it, I'd earn a bit of pity or a chance for him to come back to me. I didn't realize it would lead to a cold table and 2 lives lost. "Finn, I haven't seen you guys in a while. Bring Valen over for dinner tomorrow. I've been trying to call her, but I can't get through. What have you two been up to?" Finian's mother called a few days later while Yara was lounging in his arms. Hearing her voice made my soul ache. She was my mother's best friend after the accident. She was the one who raised me. "Mom, she's just an ungrateful brat. Even if she's throwing a tantrum at me, she shouldn't be ignoring your calls, Finny." And said his voice dripping with loathing. I stood right in front of him laughing bitterly. Now that the love was gone, I was just a brat to him. "Finn, I know you still have feelings for that other girl, but you're married to Valen now. You have to be responsible for her. How am I supposed to face her mother in the afterlife if you aren't?" His mother's voice sounded frantic. Finn's expression darkened. He muttered a few excuses and hung up. Then he gave Yara a doting smile, silently comforting her. "Finn, has Valen reached out to you lately?" Yara asked softly, acting as if she suddenly remembered me. "Reached out?" Finian narrowed his eyes. "She nearly cost you your life. Why do you care about her? It's better if she stays missing." "Yara, just wait for me. As soon as I get the divorce papers settled, I'll give you the status you deserve," Finian promised solemnly. Yara hugged him, acting all coy. "I don't care about titles as long as Valen doesn't hate me." "She wouldn't dare." Finny interrupted, pulling her closer and whispering sweet nothings into her ear. Watching this, a nameless fire burned in my chest, hotter and hotter. Perhaps wanting to speed up the divorce, Finny actually went back to our penthouse that evening. He was furious when he didn't see me there. Logically, with his resources, finding me should have been easy, but he hadn't even looked. He didn't want to waste a second on me. He was just waiting for me to crawl back and beg. When there was still no word from me, he started spamming my phone, getting more agitated by the second. Then an unknown number called. He answered instantly, assuming it was me. "Valen, you've got some nerve. How dare you ignore my calls? Is this the family of Miss Valen Vance? Her body has been at the hospital for nearly 2 months. Please come and identify her," a calm, professional voice said from the other end. Finian bolted upright. His hand froze in midair for a few seconds before he let out a mocking laugh. "Is this a joke? Valen is too pathetic to die. She'd probably survive the apocalypse just to spite me." "I'm sorry, sir. You are listed as her primary emergency contact. You're the only person we could reach." "Whatever. Just treat it as an unclaimed body." Then Finian spat and slammed the phone down. His eyes were dark with rage. He was genuinely offended by the stunt. I laughed. Seemed he never once considered that my life was actually over. In his eyes, I was a villain who would do anything to get what I wanted. He probably wished I was actually dead. "Riley, where the hell is Valen? Tell her to get her ass home right now and stop hiding." Finian roared into the phone. As he called Riley. Riley was my only true friend. I hadn't even had the chance to say goodbye to her. Finian, what is wrong with you? I was about to ask you the same thing. Where is Valen? I haven't heard from her in ages, Riley shouted back, her own anger flaring. Tell her this. She better be home by tomorrow. If she isn't, I don't care if she dies in a ditch, I won't be the one to bury her. Finian's breathing was shallow and fast. I didn't understand why he was so worked up. Finian, she's missing. If anything happened to her, I will destroy you. Riley was sobbing and screaming at him. Now he just let out a cynical chuckle. Is this her new tactic, using you to get my pity? God, she's so desperate. Tears blurred my vision. At that moment, the last bit of my heart truly died. In his mind, I would always be the manipulative, evil woman, all because of that time I supposedly pushed Yara down the stairs. It happened 3 years ago, the year Yara first came back to the States. At a corporate gala, Finian had the audacity to parade Yara in front of me, his legal wife. They walked arm in arm among the elite while everyone laughed at me. Heartbroken, I hid in a corner just to stop the tears from falling. But Yara found me. She pretended to be friendly, but the moment I turned to walk away, she threw herself down the stairs. I backed away in horror, seeing the cold smirk on her face just before she hit the floor. Everyone was shocked. I stared down at her lying in a pool of blood. Then looked up to see Finian running toward us. I shook my head frantically. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. But no one believed me. CEO's wife brutally attacks mistress. Attempted murder became the headline on every tabloid. Finian spent a fortune to suppress the news, but he was livid. He dragged me to the hospital. I explained 1,000 times that I didn't do it. I even asked for the security footage, but he ignored me. He insisted I apologize. Numbly, I walked into her room clutching the flowers Finn had carefully picked out for her. Finn, Yara whispered, looking pale and fragile. When she saw me, her face contorted into a mask of terror. Phelan, I know you hate me. I know you think I stole Finn. I don't blame you for pushing me. It's my fault for existing. I stepped forward to defend myself, but Yara started screaming and shaking. No. Get away, Finn. I'm sorry. I won't see you again. Please just make her stop. She looked like she was having a nightmare and I was left standing there paralyzed. Get her out of here. How dare she show her face after what she did? One of Yara's wealthy friends barked, shoving me so hard. I hit the floor. Finney's face was grim. He looked at me coldly. She's here to apologize. An apology isn't enough, the girl sneered. If she's sincere, she should get on her knees. Yara gave a weak, saintly smile. Don't be like that, guys. I tried to stand up by leaning against the wall, but Finney's hands clamped onto my shoulders like iron. Weights. You kneel. This was your fault. I fought back, trying to pry his hands off. I told you I didn't push her. Why won't you ever believe me? Finnegan frowned and looked away, his grip only tightening until it bruised. The room went dead silent. Eventually, a wave of dizziness hit me and I collapsed into darkness. When I woke up, I got the best news of my life. I was 2 months pregnant. I thought the nightmare was finally over. Finian stopped bringing up the apology and his attitude toward me softened. I believed that once the baby came, our relationship would go back to how it used to be. But I was naive. When I was 6 months along, Finian came home early for once. He handed me a lab report. It showed that my kidney was a perfect match for Yara. I looked at him confused. He sat next to me and pulled me into his arms. A hug I had craved for months, but it felt cold and dangerous. You know Yara has kidney failure, he said, his voice flat. I nodded. End the pregnancy, then do the transplant. You owe her this. Consider it your penance. My heart froze instantly. It was like having a bucket of ice water poured over my soul. Every bit of his recent kindness had been a setup. He hadn't forgiven me. He was just preparing me for a much bigger sacrifice, to be pushed into hell by the person you love most. That was his true revenge. Clatter. Finian slammed his phone onto the floor in a fit of rage. After hanging up, the sound of the device breaking snapped me out of my memories. He took a moment to breathe, then picked up the shattered phone. And told him to search every inch of the city to find me. Then with a dark expression, he sent a text. I drifted closer to see the screen. The message was short. Valen. Enough games. Come home now. If you apologize to Yara and sign the divorce papers, I'll let everything that happened go. He stared at the message for a few seconds before pressing send. A red exclamation mark appeared almost instantly. Message failed to send. The number you are trying to reach is unavailable. His jaw tightened. He dialed again. The number you have dialed is no longer in service. His expression darkened. She even cancelled her phone, he muttered coldly. I couldn't help laughing. My phone hadn't been cancelled. It had been sealed inside the hospital evidence bag along with my blood-stained clothes. The next morning, Finian's assistant rushed into his office. Mr. Vance, we've searched every property registered under Mrs. Vance's name. Nothing. We checked the airport records. No departures. Train stations. No tickets. Hotels. No check-ins. Even the credit card company confirmed there hasn't been a single transaction for nearly 2 months. The assistant hesitated. It's as if Mrs. Vance disappeared from the world. For the first time, uncertainty flashed across Finian's face. Keep looking. I don't care how much it costs. I want her found. Immediately. Yes, sir. The office fell silent. His fingers unconsciously tapped against the desk. Something felt wrong. Very wrong. Valen loved him too much. Even when they argued, she never disappeared for more than a day. She always came back first. Always apologized first. Always compromised first. So why hadn't she appeared after nearly 2 months? That afternoon, Finian drove to Riley's apartment himself. Riley opened the door, her eyes swollen from crying. The moment she saw him, she slapped him across the face. Smack. You monster. The force turned his head. A bright red handprint appeared on his cheek. His expression turned icy. I'm not here to fight. Then get out. I'm asking one last time. Where's Valen? Riley laughed bitterly. I should be asking you. You're her husband. You forced her to donate her kidney. You forced her to abort her baby. Then you vanished with your mistress. You were her emergency contact. When the hospital couldn't reach anyone. Where were you? A strange feeling settled in Finian's chest. What do you mean, emergency contact? Riley stared at him in disbelief. You don't know? The hospital called me after they failed to reach you. They said Valen had massive hemorrhaging during surgery. They were trying to get consent for emergency procedures. They called you over 30 times. You never answered. My soul froze. So Riley knew. Finian's pupils contracted. What, did you say? Riley pulled out her phone with trembling hands. I kept the voicemail. She pressed play. The recording echoed through the apartment. Mr. Finian Vance, your wife is experiencing severe postoperative hemorrhaging. Please return to the hospital immediately. This is extremely urgent. Mr. Vance, if you receive this message, please contact us. Mr. Vance. One voicemail after another. 12. 18. 26. 34. Every single one unanswered. Finian stood motionless. His breathing became uneven. Then he suddenly remembered. That day. His phone had indeed kept vibrating. He had looked down once while feeding Yara soup. Yara had smiled weakly. Finn, please don't answer. I don't want anyone interrupting our time together. Without hesitation. He had switched his phone off. The apartment fell into dead silence. For the first time since my death. The color slowly drained from Finian Vance's face. Finian stumbled backward until his legs hit the sofa. No. His voice came out hoarse. No. Riley's eyes filled with hatred. You switched your phone off, didn't you? He couldn't answer. She already knew. You abandoned your own wife while she was dying. You abandoned your own child. The last sentence struck him like a hammer. My child. His lips trembled. The baby. Riley laughed through her tears. You don't even know. Valen gave birth before she died. It was a little girl. The doctors tried everything to save them. They couldn't. They both died on that operating table. Silence. Absolute silence. Even I stopped breathing out of instinct, despite no longer having lungs. Finian's eyes slowly lost focus. Girl. He remembered the tiny knitted pink socks he had accidentally found hidden in Valen's drawer months ago. She had snatched them away, blushing. I was just practicing. He had believed her. She had already known. She had been preparing. His daughter. She had never even been held. Never opened her eyes. His knees gave out. He crashed onto the floor. Riley looked down at him with nothing but contempt. Congratulations. You got exactly what you wanted. Yara got her kidney. And your wife and daughter paid for it. She slammed the door in his face. Bang. Outside, Finian remained kneeling on the hallway floor. His phone rang. Yara. He stared at the screen for a long time before answering. Finn, she said sweetly. Where are you? I made dinner. He didn't speak. Finn? Finally, he whispered. Valen. Is dead. There was a pause. Then Yara gasped dramatically. What? That's impossible. When did it happen? 2 months ago. Another silence. Too long. Far too long. When Yara spoke again, her voice was carefully measured. Finn, I'm so sorry. You shouldn't blame yourself. The surgery was risky. She chose to save me. It wasn't your fault. Those words should have comforted him. Instead, they sounded wrong. She chose? No. Valen had begged him not to do it. She had cried. She had clutched her stomach. She had told him their baby was kicking. He was the one who said, You're only losing a child. His own words echoed endlessly inside his head. His breathing became ragged. Yara continued softly. Finn, come home. We'll get through this together. Home? For the first time, that word felt foreign. He slowly hung up without another word. That night, he drove alone to the hospital morgue. The attendant looked surprised. You finally came. The word stabbed straight through him. Finally. Not immediately. Not the next day. 2 months later. The attendant unlocked a refrigerated drawer. I'm sorry. No family should have to see this. The metal tray slid out. A white sheet covered the body. With shaking hands, Finian lifted the corner. Valen's face appeared. Her skin was pale as snow. Her eyes remained peacefully closed. She looked as though she were simply sleeping. Until he noticed the surgical stitches disappearing beneath the hospital gown. His hand began shaking violently. His knees buckled again. He reached toward her face. His fingertips stopped just short. She was freezing. Colder than ice. His lips quivered. Valen. No answer. No gentle smile. Only silence. The silence he had created with his own hands. Then the attendant quietly placed a tiny bundle beside her. This was recovered after the delivery. Inside was a pair of tiny pink knitted socks. The same ones Valen had hidden from him. A small hospital bracelet rested beside them. Baby girl Vance. Stillborn. Finian stared at the bracelet. His vision blurred. A broken sound escaped his throat before he doubled over, clutching the tiny bracelet against his chest. For the first time in years. Finian Vance cried without caring who saw him. The sound echoed through the empty morgue. Raw. Broken. Uncontrollable. The attendants quietly stepped outside, leaving him alone with the wife he had abandoned. I stood beside him. So close that if ghosts could touch the living, I could have rested my hand on his shoulder. But there was nothing. No warmth. No forgiveness. Only a distance that death could never bridge. Finian reached into his pocket with trembling fingers and pulled out his wallet. Behind his bank cards was an old, faded photograph. It was taken when we were 16. He had his arms slung over my shoulders while I smiled brightly at the camera. On the back, in childish handwriting, were the words, "We'll always protect each other." His thumb traced the sentence again and again. Then he broke. "I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry." He repeated it dozens of times. The apologies came too late. I couldn't hear them with my heart anymore. The funeral was held 3 days later. Only a handful of people attended. My parents had long since passed away. I had almost no relatives left. The largest bouquet came from Mrs. Vance. The moment she saw my portrait, she collapsed onto the coffin, sobbing. "My poor child. I promised your mother I'd protect you. I failed." She turned and slapped Finian across the face. The crack echoed through the chapel. "You told me she was throwing a tantrum. You told me she just wanted attention. My daughter was lying in a morgue while you were celebrating with another woman." Everyone lowered their heads. No one dared speak. Finian accepted the slap without moving. His eyes never left my portrait. "I know." His voice was barely audible. "I killed her." Mrs. Vance burst into tears. "I treated you like my own son. How could you become this?" He had no answer. Because there wasn't one. Meanwhile, news of my death quietly spread through the city's upper class. At first, people whispered. Then someone anonymously leaked copies of my medical records. The records clearly showed 24 weeks pregnant. Forced medical termination before kidney donation. Massive postoperative hemorrhage. Death due to delayed emergency intervention. Within hours, public opinion exploded. The headlines changed overnight. CEO's wife dies after donating kidney to husband's first love. Hospital records raise questions about emergency contacts' absence. Business icon faces public backlash. Social media was flooded with outrage. I thought the wife was the villain? She was pregnant? He forced her to abort his own child? That's murder. That poor woman. Outside Vance Group headquarters, reporters gathered by the hundreds. Investors began selling shares. Business partners suspended negotiations. The board demanded an emergency meeting. Finian never showed up. He remained in our empty penthouse. Every room still carried traces of me. My slipper sat neatly by the door. My favorite mug remained in the kitchen. The knitted baby blanket I had secretly finished was tucked inside the nursery closet. He found it while searching through the room. Folded beneath the blanket was a sealed envelope. Written across the front in my handwriting were the words. For Finn. Open after our baby is born. His hand shook so violently he could barely break the seal. Inside was a letter. Finn. If you're reading this, our baby is finally here. I hope she has your eyes. I know you haven't been happy lately, but I still believe one day you'll love our little family. Even if you don't love me anymore, I hope you'll love our daughter enough for the both of us. She already kicks whenever she hears your voice. I think she knows who her daddy is. I bought tiny pink socks because I secretly think she's a girl. Don't laugh at me if I'm wrong. Thank you for giving me the happiest 5 years of my life. I'll spend the rest of mine trying to make you smile again. Valen. The page slipped from his fingers. He stared at it for a long time. Then he slowly walked into the nursery. The crib stood ready. The stuffed animals waited patiently. The mobile above the crib turned gently in the breeze from the air conditioner. It was a room that would never welcome its child. Finian sank onto the floor beside the crib, clutching the tiny blanket to his chest. For the first time, he truly understood what he had destroyed. Not just a marriage. Not just a life.